Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Faculty Lounge. So I'm so excited to have you here today. So excited to have you here today. Why? Because I am so anxious for you to meet our amazing faculty, the beautiful faculty of IAUSM. Today we have a guest joining us. His name is Dr. Fred DiDimenico, and I'm waiting for him to join us. And for right now, while I'm waiting, I want to talk to you a little bit about your why. This is interesting things that I've talked to about with every single faculty member of IAUSM was really to understand about their passion, was really to connect and understand their why. Why do they do what they do? You know, if I thought about my why and why I do what I do, I had to go in really deep because most of our whys are really superficial. So when we ask somebody why they do something, normally they come back with a quick answer. This is why I do it. But that's not your real why. Your real why is much deeper than that. So I always like to do something that I call like just going 7 layers deeper to really figure out what that why is. So every time you say, I do this because this, right? I do this, whatever you love doing, and I do it because of this. Ask yourself, why is that reason important? Why is the reason why you do that important? When I first decided to reach out to people and change my life from a corporate life to, where I worked in an office and all of that to what I do now, at first it was because I want to help people. I want to pay it forward. I want to reach out to people. And that was my why. But then I started really thinking about it and going down deeper. And I realized that really wasn't my why. Why is it important that I help people? That was the next question. Why is it important that I help people? And it was, well, I don't want people to go through what I went through. I don't want people to experience the various things that I experienced. And, and then I thought, well, that's not enough either. So why don't I want people to experience what I experienced? Why don't I want people to go through what I went through? And I had to keep going deeper. And it was because I let it last too long, because I had so many blocks up that, we know that time is an illusion, but in this vehicle, we're living a certain amount of time. And that's time that I can't get back because of all the blockages and the barriers and the things that I had in the way. And, so part of it was I would have went sooner to go for help. I would have went sooner to reach out to the right coach or mentor or facilitator or something, so that I would have been through it sooner. And I want to be able to help people sooner in their life. And then, and then I thought, well, is that my why? Is that why I do it? And I had to go even deeper. So why is it important to me that people don't prolong their healing, that they don't prolong them stepping into their mastery? Why is that important to me? And then I realized that, well, that's important to me because I wanted to know that I mattered. When I went through what I went through, the biggest thing was that I just didn't think I mattered. I didn't think that I had a purpose. I didn't think there was a reason for me. I didn't understand. I thought I was a mistake. I thought all these different things about myself. And I never want anyone to feel that way. And now I knew that I was starting to get into my real why as to why I do what I do. So the next step after having my own practice, my own private practice where I help people with things, was I've always wanted to collaborate. I wanted to do something bigger, right? But I just never knew what that was. And then after the pandemic, it started getting really clear to me what that was going to be. So, I got fed with this image, this vision, whatever you want to call it. And that's where IAUSM came from. And now when I interview teachers to be a part of IAUSM, when I talk to a new faculty that want to come into IAUSM, the reason I do that is because I really want to find out a little bit about their why. And I want to find out a little bit about their passion. And do they still remember their passion? Do they still remember why they do what they do? Or has it just become all business? Or is there still that heart-centered spot in them that says, this is why I want to be a part of IAUSM, Aisha, because, IAUSM speaks to one of my whys. It speaks to my why. So when the students start to come into IAUSM, it's the same thing. I want to know, I don't interview all the students clearly, but it's just, why? And the reason we can't step into what we want to step into in this world, because our why isn't motivating enough, right? Our why, that superficial first layer why, is not motivating enough. And if it's not motivating enough, then you can't come in. Where is he right now? So my guest is apparently here, but I can't see him. So I don't know where he is right now. Very interesting. So that's how these things work. I might have to jump out and jump back in because I cannot find him. I might have to open up another version of this to see if there he is. There he is. Now I got him. Now he's here. That took a little while.
Scroll. It was showing my video, but I needed to scroll down.
I was just like, I don't think you're here. I don't see you.
Yeah, it's all good. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Great. I like your title, Visionary.
I think I am. I think I'm the visionary here. I mean, it all came as a vision, so it's definitely about that. So, first of all, you know what? I've always been sitting here and struggling with your last name. Is it DiDimenico? Is it DiDimenico? DiDimenico. Okay.
And what's the official pronunciation of your first name?
Aisha.
Aisha. Got it.
See, we're always so polite. Nobody ever asks anything.
Well, I didn't know if it was Aisha or Aisha.
Yeah. Well, I answer to both.
Yeah.
I pretty much answer to anything you call me. Yeah. Here I am.
And also want to get you scheduled. You can go through the website and schedule something. I figure we should just talk about it in person to do an interview, a Zoom interview, and I'll put it on all our social media and email.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I would love that. That'd be so great. So I was reading a little bit of your profile that you put into IAUSM. And, just like I said, I wanted to introduce everybody to say, Dr. Fred is one of our amazing faculty. And in your very first paragraph, you say, you were raised in a very traditional Italian Catholic family. You practiced religion on Sundays, but you always felt like that wasn't like that wasn't what you had to do to connect to, let's use the quotes of God here. So right. How do you, what would you say your relationship with God is now?
Well, I think it's never really changed. Like I said, I never really bought into Catholicism a whole lot, but I did buy into the principle of Jesus, that Jesus, in religion, it says Jesus is God, right? The Holy Trinity.
Right. I
don't really think that was his message. Now it's, we are all divinity. We're all divine. I just did a TMT on this, and thank you so much for liking those. In 1 Corinthians, it says we are the temple of God. And when you look up a temple, it says a temple is a space where human space meets divine space. And if that's who we are, then we are humanity and divinity at the same time.
Yes.
And then Jesus came to say, I am God, just like you are God, like God is within us is really his message. And this is where it's matured into now. And then I kind of dog on Christians a little bit because the Pharisees didn't like that message. Who are you to say you're God? And not only was he criticized, he was crucified. But yet Christians have the same principle, the same hard time accepting their own divinity. So Christians are trying to, what would Jesus do? You wear the freaking bracelet and then you crucify yourself.
It's true. It's really interesting thing, because we're all that thought of, we'll use the word God. I mean, it could be God, source, Allah, Buddha, whatever, Uncle Bob, whatever you want to call him. I don't think God really cares that much what we call him, as long as we believe, understand that there's that beautiful energy, that beautiful spirit out there, that creator is there, and that we are each a thought of that. And it was weird. I went to someone the other day who did some healing work. Like, even I like to go get stuff from other people, right? And because, I don't want to always do it myself. And I said, I just feel like we went really deep into this meditation. Like I went really in there, and I found myself feeling like, and I know it's going to sound weird, but I found myself feeling like I was standing in front of this wonderful energy, that we call God, right? So I felt like I was there, and that, I felt him almost kiss me on my forehead. And that's where I was. That's where my imagination took me. That's where the meditation went. And when I came out, the person who was working on me said, I told him what happened. And he said, so you saw me kiss you on the forehead.
That's interesting.
And I was like, I get where he was going with it. We're all part of God.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready to call myself God. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I found it very interesting that he said that. And yet I was, at the same time, I got the analogy. I got where he was going with it, but it felt uncomfortable.
Yes. Well, that's our humanity getting in the way of our divinity, and so how do we adapt to that? The words I am, obviously, how to do all this, right?
Yeah.
And, depending on your people's reference point, we're created in his likeness and image. And that's being able to tap into our divinity. When I meditate, some people say, well, it's hard to meditate, can't clear your mind or whatever. We clear your mind by feeling your body. And so when I begin to meditate, I always focus on the energy and spirit in my body, and I think it's, was it Eckhart Tolle that said, you're not in the universe, you are the universe, and you're a focal point of energy.
Yeah.
The physical part is a focal point. It's like the whole universe is focused into us, and we're that expression on this physical plane. And so I think about that, and I focus on just feeling that in my body and being in the presence, getting out of an out of body experience, and then in the presence in that spirit world, and then all of a sudden,
I get it. I do the exact same thing. I love expanding, like feeling myself sort of out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, and that's where I get my visions from and what I'm supposed to do. And of course, when, those visions can be so big that we can act like Moses. I mean, I'm using a reference in the Bible, where he's standing in front of a burning bush. Like most people think, you're standing in front of a burning bush. This voice is talking to you. What is it that you don't understand? Just do what he says. But he's like letting his humanity go, well, who say sent me? Why are they going to listen to me? I'm slight of speech. And I was reading that this morning. I'm like, God, man, I feel like that sometimes. And that's our humanity. It's like God is in us. He's talking to us. We're connected. And then sometimes our mind gets in the way. And that's what you're talking about. Well, I'm not ready to say I am God. And you don't have to say that. Do you feel it on a level?
I feel it. I think I feel it. Because even when I'm, we all get in our moods. We get in our, like, I'm not in such a great mood today or whatever. And immediately I sort of go into I am one with you. I am one with you. Like in my mind, I'll kind of start doing this mantra, and it lifts me. Right. And I always say, like, I feel good. And if you take out one O, it's God. Right. So I feel good. I feel God. I feel good. I feel God. Right. So I say it, but I don't know if I'm ready to walk up to another human being and say, hey, how are you? I'm God.
Nice. That would definitely be a pattern interruption. I would probably want to add, and so are you. And
so are you. Yep. Yep. And that's like that namaste, right? The divine in me sees the divine in you.
Exactly. So maybe that's an exercise, in Healed, and You're More Powerful Than You Think. That second chapter is second step is exercise loving yourself and others, right? And that's what it is, loving yourself like God loves you, loving the God in you. And maybe that's a habit that you can create to say, I'm God and so are you. He's, God's, and we come from the same place.
that would absolutely freak people out, though. Hi, I'm Aisha. I'm God, and so are you.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't start with a total.
I almost want to do it just to get the reaction out of people.
Well, it may be an exercise for you, though, to condition that into you,
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that there's a part of me that gets it, like on a spiritual level. And then there's a part of me that says, is that feels a little bit egoic, like a little bit ego. There's a part of me that kind of thinks that too. And then it's like, but isn't it, there's always this line between what's ego. Like, I don't think I want to walk around with a t-shirt that says I'm God. Like, I don't know if we should be doing that.
Yeah, that's a bit bold for the general consciousness. However, if you look at these spiritual leaders or these sages, and Indian prophets and all that, that's basically what comes out of their mouth. And they have millions of people following them from all over the world. So it's almost like boldness that may create polarity is what makes a difference.
Right. Yeah. So interesting. So you're teaching some interesting things yourself inside IAUSM.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about You Are Powerful.
Well, you're more powerful. It comes really from a lifetime, like all of us, every spirit seeks to know ourself, our higher self. So we come in, we're divine first. And it's like we have this veil, Neil Donald Walsh calls it that veil of ignorance, right? So, and we spend our lives trying to part that veil and really to know ourselves. We seek consciousness of our divine self. So going through all that, a number of life experiences. And when you actually, I always say, if we pray for things, they may or may not happen. But when you pray for wisdom, miracles happen.
Yes.
And so I've always been seeking wisdom. I may not live wisely my whole life, but we seek wisdom, and the experiences that I've had that many people have has started this book, You're More Powerful Than You Think. And the healed system fell on me. It really did. And I tell this story in IAUSM, being a chiropractor and being raised spiritually. I mean, some people have these big stories of how they found their life purpose. I got a postcard from chiropractic school. And my chiropractors don't know anything. But at the time, I was an undergraduate, pre-med. I was praying, God, show me what I need to do. And then I got another postcard, threw it away. Then I got another postcard. And I know when something comes to me 3 times that God's talking to me. And I became a chiropractor without knowing what chiropractic was. I just took my prereqs and went into school. I had no idea what chiropractic was. But the 3rd postcard told me this is what I'm supposed to do in my life.
Right.
And so I think, learning, and that's where the spiritual part, where you have a relationship, regardless of religion, you seek that divine guidance, and then you pay attention.
Yep.
So then after, doing all that, my second marriage, my wife got cancer, and 3 weeks before she died, she was in the bathtub, and we were talking about what her life celebration service was going to be. And she started bawling, and she said, I don't know if I did what I was supposed to do in this life. And, I've told this story before, the overwhelming sadness, it was actually overwhelming. And at the same time, the irony was the contrast that I was living my purpose, because I was a chiropractor, I was coaching at that time. And then a loud voice in my head said, no one will ever say that to me again. Anybody in my life, they'll never say that again. And then I started on this more aggressive spiritual journey, not even because, one, I wanted to be who God created me to be in this life and do what I was supposed to do. But in my marriage, we had challenges in our marriage, and we wasted the acute pain was definitely watching her take her last breath.
Right.
I mean, that was a level of pain I can't describe, like the biggest tidal wave. But the long-term disappointment was how much time we spent arguing over small things.
It's true. It's so true.
Yeah, and it wasn't me. I'm a big picture guy. So So I look at all the wasted minutes, and I actually went on the spiritual journey, not only to discover who God created me to be, but even more importantly, I just want to be the most amazing man so I can meet the most amazing woman. So eventually I could have the most amazing marriage.
Right.
And so 5 years later, the acronym HEALED fell on me. I was actually trying to develop and trademark a rehab system for chiropractors. I thought of the acronym, and then immediately I started getting these visions of what it was. And then I saw this transforming the whole life coaching system, because I spent decades, you know, you read Neil Donald Walsh and Deepak Chopra and Marianne Williamson and Eckhart Tolle, right? But it's like an IKEA diagram. It's like an exploded view. You have this tool over here and this tool over here and this tool over here. And I just want a system. And so I have this weird brain that I can look at complicated, exploded things,
right,
and put them into steps. So HEALED is a 6-step system that uses all of those principles, universal principles, and I cite all of them, including other spiritual sources, and just follow the steps.
Right.
And that's what we say. It's 6 steps to attain a higher consciousness made easy. It's like, just follow the steps.
And that's amazing. So if you've got that put together, which you do, I already have it on Inside IAUSM, which is awesome. Why wouldn't somebody want to take it? Like, to me, it's like, we are always looking for the answer. We're always looking for a way to feel better, especially people who are still haven't even really begun that healing part of their journey yet. Even those of us who have done it, have worked it. It's never done. Like, you're still constantly like doing, I've been working on mine for I don't know how long now. And I know there's still more stuff, like, because every time I do something, it opens up something else in me. Like, so every time I do one more thing, it's like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. And because people have a tendency to have a box, you know, like, this is what my belief system is, and here it is in this box. And I years ago threw away the box. I was like, there's no box. I don't want a box. Don't put me in a box. And, you know, don't put baby in the corner. That's me. Like, you know, there's no box. So at the end of the day, it was just like, I believe what I believe right now, but that doesn't mean that I am not open to believing more, to expanding that belief. Because if I think about who I was 10 years ago and what I believed back then, I'm like, wow, my beliefs were like this big when it came to spirituality, and compared to what it is now, it's like way out there. And I like contemplate things, and I'm like, would I ever really know? I wish somebody would just come and hit me right here in the forehead and give me all the knowledge. I just want it. I just want to know. I really want to know. Right. So it's about allowing yourself. And when people hear the word spirituality, they immediately go to the woo-woo of things, or they think of religion, and it's really not any of those things. Spirituality is your truth. Spirituality is, what do you believe? We already are spiritual. It's not something you have to become. You already are that, but how far along are you on your journey? So I think that spirituality and faith Faith is also given like to a religion, but faith is truth. Faith is truth. I have faith that the sun is going to come up in the morning.
Right.
It's the truth. I have faith that there's gravity. Right. I have faith that there's a sky above me. I have faith that there's a universe out there. Right. So these are things that are the truth. Right.
Yeah. So faith is also knowing that I'm spirit first. And the thing is like, everything's a belief system, and your beliefs are related to your level of consciousness. And I always say, you only ever have one problem in life. That's your level of consciousness. So your problems are related to your level of consciousness. When you get a raise your consciousness, you don't have those problems anymore. Of course, you may have other problems, and you may even have bigger problems, but the higher your consciousness, the less you see problems and the more you see opportunities. So it doesn't really matter how big the problem is, because your perspective on that changes as you raise your consciousness. Right.
Sure. You said something there. You said faith is I'm spirit first, spirit first. But that's your faith. Some people don't even believe in that. Like, some people don't even believe in that. I've had people have sit in front of me and said, I don't believe in energy. And I say, why? And they say, because I can't see it. And I said, well, can you see gravity? No. Do you believe in it? Yes. Then I don't understand your reasoning here. So
well, the difference is they can feel and experience gravity, but they're not experiencing their spirit. So somebody like that I would give them an example of, have you ever thought of someone and then they call? Now everybody's going to say yes to that. Have you ever had a vision about something and something you really want, and then all of a sudden it happens or it appears, or 6 months later you get it? So what do you think is driving that?
Right. Exactly. I love when that happens.
Yeah.
And people like to call that coincidences. And it's like, if you could just, every single time you were thought of someone and they called you, you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. I want that to happen. You will find that like it happens more and more and more and more. Like we have so many in our lifetimes. If you just pay attention to the synchronicities and just wrote them down as they happened, you could fill a book in no time.
Well, and the important thing is, we empower other people, right? So what I was getting at before, you live what you believe. So the question is, if you don't believe in energy, then how do you feel about your life? Right. Are your belief systems getting you what you want in life? If you change your belief systems, even if it was by faith, and your life rose to another level, would you want to look at that?
Yeah.
And that's really it, is you're getting what you believe. So the question is, do you like what you're getting?
And that's a good point, because people always think, in the law of attraction, right? The law of attraction, they think that it's like the big house, the big car, I want these big things. And I was, and then you'll have someone like I've had with my clients, I want you to teach me the law of attraction. And I said, and I'm kind of direct with my clients. So I'll be kind of like, do you know how to breathe? Yes. Yeah. Then you've been doing law of attraction your entire life, right? So what you have around you, you have attracted to you. That's what you asked for, right? And they don't get that part. Is very difficult for people, because especially if they're living in a lack mindset, right? And I say, okay, so if the universe is abundant and it gives you whatever you ask for, and it doesn't understand the concept of missing. So if I sit here and I say, I don't have enough, then the universe goes, well, here's some more of not having enough. You are just going to get more of what you ask for. So be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get it.
It's a faithful servant.
Yep. It's like the best Purolator service ever. You ask and there it is.
How cool is that?
Right?
That's amazing. Now, if we can just control our mind.
Yes.
Right. And that's the difference between your humanity and your divinity, which is what, Healed and You're More Powerful is all about, is how to not differentiate, but how to tap into your divinity while honoring your humanity. And that's where religion has been a bit of a challenge, where you learn to hate sin, you learn to hate evil, you learn that you're created in sin. So there is a part of you that doesn't love yourself.
Right.
And so we're here to have a human experience, and then, what you resist persists, right? So the thing is, when you learn to honor your mistakes, if you want to call them mistakes, and, I say there's no failure, there's only learning. So anything happens in your life that isn't to your best interest, what did you learn? What are you going to do? And appreciate your humanity, when in reality, we're a spirit here to have a human experience. So every emotion along that spectrum, from suicide to bliss, can all be celebrated with joy, because that's our human experience. And that's getting in a consciousness above your humanity, that once you can tap into that, are you going to live there every moment of the day?
Right.
Probably not, because you're, it's like a hologram. It's humanity, divinity. You have divine moments, you have
right.
moments, you have anxious, maybe depression, you have elation and bliss and empowerment. But when you're able to experience it, and you have the ability and the tools to be able to get back into that higher consciousness, then you don't stay immersed in your humanity.
Yeah. I'd rather be a divinity all the time. It's such a good place. I like it.
Yeah, and obviously,
I don't know if I can survive there the whole time when you got to deal with the rest of humanity, but it's a good place to be.
Well, the more you condition yourself, the more you can live that way, right? So in the beginning, it's all about repetition, practice.
Yeah.
Follow the steps. Just go through them, go over them again and again and again. And I've had people go through the healed system, and it definitely shifts their consciousness no question. Their whole life changes, like a lot of the programs in there. And then you find when you go through it again, you're going to read it. You're going to go through it at a different level of consciousness.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And then when you go through it again, you're going to get a new consciousness. But if you follow the steps, and that's it, they have a divine order.
I did the same thing when I read, what was it? Oh yeah, The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It was the very first book of his I ever read. And when I read that, I ended up reading it like 7 times in a row, because every time I read it, there was stuff in there that I didn't catch the first time or the last time, or I go, oh, now I get it. So there was new learning every single time, even though I read it 7 times in a row. In a row.
That's discipline.
Because I got it on audio. I got it in my Kindle. I had the real book. I highlighted. I was just going through this thing. And I thought there was messages in there for me. I just felt like that there was. So always doing it. So I'm going to ask you.
Here's the question.
Okay.
So why did you pick up that book and why did you read it 7 times?
I had heard that it was a really great book from someone. And I had bought the book, one of those things that we do. We buy the book and then we don't read it for a bit. And I took it on a vacation with me. And I think I had it read in the airport the first time.
Yeah.
Before I got on the plane. And then I read it again and I just kept reading it. And I was just like, oh my God, every time I read this book, I feel like it's a new book.
Now, here's another question, because Deepak Chopra's famous quote, most people turn to spirituality when they're tired of suffering. So to read it 7 times, you must have did you have a pain point?
Yeah, at that time, yeah. I was still going through some major parts of my healing process at that time.
Exactly. That's the point. So why would people join IAUSM? Why would you have so many tools and people and leaders, because people would go there because they're tired of suffering. There's a pain point. And to have that level of discipline, you had a highly emotionally driven motivation. You're like, I'm done and I'm reading this. And then after you gain some positive things, pleasure, it makes long-term change.
Right.
And so the other 6 times were based on pleasure.
Yes.
Probably every time you read it, but the initial discipline was I'm done.
And it's unfortunate that people have to wait until tragedy hits their life before they do things. Like in my instance, my father died. So that was what kind of all the stuff that I had been suppressing my whole life, his death brought everything to the surface at the same time. And I had to deal with it. There was no more hiding from it. I had to deal with it. But people don't have to wait that long. I wish I could go back in time and just start earlier. I just wasted so much time. And I know that time is an illusion, but it's not in this body. And I only have X amount of time with this vehicle. And I'm like, oh man, if I had just done this sooner, I'd be so much further along right now.
Well, that's true to a point. However, this is in the A chapter of Healed, in the A step. When you look back, not only did you have to part the veil, but it's the suffering and the pains that you overcame that brought you to where you are now. If you would have known that, would IAUSM be here? Well, I don't know. Maybe you would have done something different.
Maybe. But
you have to go through those. So for people listening on here, an earlier question, the reason I went through this, an earlier question is, why would somebody do it? Some people aren't even aware of their spirit. Why would they do it? One reason: you're tired of suffering. You want to take your life to a different level. You feel like you're 6 feet tall on a 4-foot ceiling and you're looking through a glass ceiling and everything that you desire is on the other side and you don't know how to get there.
Right. They feel like they're on the outside looking in, right? You're watching everybody else live a life that you wish, you're like, why can't I do that? Why can't I feel that way? Meanwhile, those people are probably struggling and suffering with things as well, but you don't have to be doing that to yourself. I'm going to ask you a question here, Dr. Fred, and that is, why IAUSM? Why did you choose IAUSM?
Well, I talked about this on one of your meetings the other day. I wrote the book 2 years ago. However, we didn't, and I haven't really done a launch or anything like that. Now, in this COVID world, actually, one of the studies were that 44% of Americans are seeking spirituality and turning to the Bible. and turning to online spiritual teachings who have never done that before. So there is a need. We're in a world where if you're going to identify, in other words, make your identity related to what's going on in the world, you're going to be in a lot of stress.
Right.
I mean, and those are the people that suicide is up, alcoholism's up, child and domestic abuse is up. Why? Because they have an outside-in reference point. And so I felt this thing, okay, it's time to get You're More Powerful out. And then I made that decision. And what do you call it? Law of attraction? Do you want to call it faith? Do you want to call it spirit? Another faculty member, Selena Moon, amazing woman. I've known her for years. She spoke in our seminars. She said, hey, this is what these guys are doing. Aisha is an amazing woman, and you have to be on here. And I'm like, okay. And that was 2 hours after. And this is what happens. This is the difference between a should and a must.
Right.
When you make a must decision, God, the universe, spirit world, whatever you want to call it, conspires to bring that to you. Now, you can call it law of attraction, but until you make that decision, like you made the decision with the power of intention, or what is that the name of the book? Power of Intention?
The Power of Intention, yeah.
Yeah, I read that years ago as well. You said, okay, I'm done. Not only am I reading it, but you ended up reading it 7 times because you made a must decision. Yeah. So at some point, and what hangs people up is they don't know how. You don't have to know how. You just need to say yes.
Yeah. And that was even with IAUSM, because when IAUSM showed up in my vision, meditation, whatever you want to call it, it showed up, gave me the message. And I remember in the meditation, looking up at the sky in this meditation where I was going, I don't know how to do that. And I came back, and I'm here now in my living room. And then I'm looking up at my ceiling going, I got the message, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how I'm going to do that. And it just started showing up. Purolator started dropping packages at my door, so to speak, and it was just like, boom, you need this, and boom, you need to meet that person. And here you go with that person. And this is another tool. And it just started like pouring in because I said, yes, I'll do it. I just don't know how to do it. And everything started coming in.
Isn't that amazing?
It is super amazing. Like I don't think I've ever manifested anything in my entire life the way the last 6 months have gone. It's been crazy.
Yeah, because you made a must decision.
Yeah.
And this is Old Testament stuff because I was just reading in Exodus this morning. I decided that I want to go through and read the Bible. I want to know the Bible. It's in my book. I've had 3 out-of-body one-on-one experiences with Jesus Christ where he downloaded information and taught me the things that I wrote in that book. I mean, out of body, like I was not in my body.
Yep.
I know. So anyway, so I am going back to read through the Bible because I want to help Christians get rid of the sin and the guilt and the shame and all that stuff and really come into a Christ consciousness. So anyway, but that's
here's the thing with that. Here's the thing. So I was born Muslim. My parents are Muslim. I've always called myself spiritual. I'm not a religious person by any stretch of the imagination. And I remember when I started doing, working on IAUSM, it was like a month later, and we talk about Selena. So about a month later, I'm sitting here interviewing people and stuff. And I started feeling like incredible pain in my body. And I'm just barely trying to get through this one interview. And as soon as it stopped, the interview was over. It was my last interview of the day. And I went on my couch and I laid down and I got into the fetal position and I couldn't get myself out of it. And I was stuck there. And I felt like my body was atrophying. And I was like, what is going on? And I started crying and I felt like the chills were coming. And I called Selena, right? Because if I was helping someone else, I knew what to do, but I was like in the thick of it at that moment. I didn't know what was going on with me. And so I called Selena and I've got her on the phone next to my ear. And it turned out that, when I grew up, with a name like Aisha, coming from a country like Turkey, and I was just like the kid that everyone made fun of on the playground. So, right. But now I'm running IAUSM, so I'm kind of the popular kid in school, right? My inner child started freaking out.
Yeah.
Didn't even understand that. Like I understood it, but I wasn't thinking about it. So I wasn't thinking about my inner child at all, but she was freaking out. She was like, you're not the popular girl in school. Remember, you hid in the bathroom. Remember this? And like all this stuff was starting to come up like that I hadn't thought of in years. And that's what was showing up. Like huge was all this incredible fear of what I was doing. And after all that was done, and I'm laying out on my couch and Selena's still talking to me in my ear. And I started crying, like really crying. And she said, what's wrong? And I said, you're not going to believe me if I tell you this right now. And she said, what? Because I kind of really went into a trance sort of state. And I said, I can see him right in front of me. And she said, see who? And I said, he's floating in front of me. I said, Jesus is floating in front of me. And he's like, hello, dear one. And he's clearing my aura. I could just see him like clearing my aura. And I thought, I didn't want to tell her because I thought she's going to think I'm crazy, right? But I could see it like clearly. And I think that was a great sign that said doesn't matter. God is God and doesn't care what religion you came from, and he doesn't care about any of that stuff. We are all connected.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Yet we get in those moments where we doubt ourselves. And of course, and this comes out, exercise, loving yourself and others. That's first E in healed. And so when I get those moments and I think, wow, that little girl that hid in the bathroom, all she wants is love.
Yeah.
That's all we ever want. Like all the stuff and all the pain is we just want to be loved. And so that's where when I experience fear or something like or doubt, or I just imagine that little boy and I just hug him and love him. And then all of a sudden he feels good. It's like, oh, that's all I wanted. I cared about all these projects. No, I just want to hug. Sometimes you just got to hug yourself, and that's all you need.
Oh, no, I'm very conscious of her now. But it was just, I was so enthralled in what I was doing, especially in the first month, that I just didn't see what was happening inside me because of it. With that child was just like flipping out, right? So.
Well, and I think the bigger the projects that you have, the scarier they are, the more you need to take time every day to love and appreciate yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the only way you're going to get it done. If you don't, is learning to love yourself like God loves you. Learn to love yourself like the divinity that you already are. And the more you can practice that.
A huge statement that you just said. Most people don't love themselves at all. And for them to say, I am going to love myself the way that God loves me, that's massive.
All your problems go away.
They have to do it. You have to do it. It feels good when you do it, but that's a huge statement for some people.
Not only that, you're going to do different things in life. You're going to act differently. And it's not that you're going to become different. It's just you're going to clear away all the belief systems and human experience and the impressions of your human experience, right? It's not what happened to us that matters. It's how we feel about what happened to us that matters.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm really thrilled that you're part of the Academy and part of our founding faculty.
Thank you.
I've sent you a gift for your followers, so you can share that with them. And thanks so much. And is there anything else you want to put out there, a strategy, a tip, anything you want to share, Fred?
I think IAUSM has so many great leaders, and you're going to find who you resonate with. And what you'll probably find over time is this isn't a product or service. This is a lifelong journey. There's so many resources on there that different resources will appeal to you at different points of your life.
Right.
So this isn't something that you just buy a product or service and then you set down. This becomes a lifestyle and a mindset that you study from every one of them. And if what I brought and the healed system can help you into enlightenment and give you a better life and help you tap into your divinity and become conscious of it, then I'm already honored and I appreciate the relationship. And, that will be one step for you.
Exactly. And it's just growing every month. Right now we have over 100 faculty that are still there. Some of them are still building courses. Part of the vision was we're going to have over 500 faculty. So that means incredible amounts of resources and skills and tools and capabilities and things for people to step into to help them understand their limitlessness. And that is it. And to step into big love.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fred. And I will talk to you again soon. Mwah.
Yes, I'll contact you. Thank you. Much appreciated. Blessings.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.